The world of Lithera was unlike any place a human had ever seen. Its skies glowed in shifting colors of violet and gold. Its cities built on crystalline cliffs that rose high above oceans of silver mist. At the heart of this world stood the palace of Princess Celira, a leader whose grace and wisdom had kept her people united through centuries of struggle. Yet even in her strong rule there lived a shadow in her heart, a wound that had never healed. Years ago, when raiders from the Outer Rim had swept across her kingdom, they had stolen away her only child. Celira's daughter, an infant at the time, was taken in the chaos of fire and smoke. No message, no ransom, no trace had ever returned. The council told Celira to accept the truth. The child was gone, lost to the cruelty of the galaxy. But the princess had never accepted it. She waited by her palace balcony many nights, watching the stars, whispering silent prayers that one day her daughter would come back. It was into this world of sorrow and hidden hope that Commander Ryan Hale arrived. He was not a man of royalty nor of alien nobility. He was a human warrior, trained on Earth, tested in the wars of distant colonies, and tempered by loss of his own. Ryan had fought for peace when others abandoned it, had defended weak outposts when stronger men had retreated. His courage had become known even among alien races, and thus he was chosen as an envoy to Lithera to strengthen ties between humans and Celira's people. Ryan was not one for ceremony. He wore his scars like a second uniform, spoke in few words, and listened more than he talked. Yet when he heard whispers of the lost heir during his early days on Lithera, something in him stirred. It was not only duty. It was a human instinct to protect the young, to fight against injustice. The idea that a child, innocent and helpless, was taken and enslaved in some forgotten corner of the galaxy was enough to ignite a fire in his chest. One night, while reviewing intelligence from border patrols, Ryan discovered fragments of intercepted communication. A coded report spoke of a star-eyed child, hidden among raiders in the Drovian wastes. The description matched nothing except the lost daughter of Celira. Most dismissed it as rumor. The alien council scoffed at the idea, saying raiders often invented legends to lure rescuers into traps. But Ryan was not a man to ignore even the smallest chance of truth. He stood before the council chamber the next day, his tall frame casting a shadow across the glowing floor of crystal. "If there is even a chance the child lives," he said, his voice steady, "then she must be found. If it is a trap, I'll face it. But if it's real, and we do nothing, then we let her remain in chains when freedom is within reach." The council refused to sanction his mission. They spoke of balance, of risk, of diplomacy. But Ryan was not bound by their hesitation. He had not come to be a spectator in history. He came to make it. So he prepared alone. He left the shining towers of Lithera behind, boarding a small human vessel armed only with minimal weapons and supplies. He charted his course into the Drovian wastes, a region of space notorious for lawlessness, ambushes, and pirate strongholds. It was a place where empires avoided and where mercy was never known. But Ryan carried something the raiders had never faced before, a human's will that refused to bend. The journey through the wastes tested him. His ship was attacked twice, once by scavengers seeking to strip him for parts, once by slavers hoping to add him to their market stalls. Both times he fought them off with quick thinking and the steady aim of a soldier who had faced death too many times to fear it now. He flew deeper, guided by nothing more than the fragile thread of rumor and his own determination. At last, his sensors picked up the raider stronghold. It was built into the bones of an asteroid, jagged black rock wrapped in iron structures and glowing towers of stolen energy. Ships patrolled its edges and lights flashed like teeth in the dark void. Any sane man would have turned back. Ryan only tightened his grip on the controls. He slipped into the shadow of the asteroid, avoiding detection until he reached a docking ring. Disguised as a smuggler, he entered on foot, wearing a cloak to hide his identity. Inside, the air was thick with smoke, the corridors alive with the sounds of shouts, engines, and the cruel laughter of those who thrived on suffering. Ryan kept his eyes open, his heart steady. He passed cages of alien captives, beaten and silent. He passed stalls where stolen weapons were traded like fruit at a market. He passed halls where the strong mocked the weak and where no voice spoke of justice. But then he heard it. A whisper, soft, almost drowned out by noise, a child's voice. He followed it through winding paths until he came to a chamber guarded by two raiders. He dispatched them swiftly, striking with the silence of a trained soldier. Inside the chamber, in the dim light of a single lamp, he saw her. A girl, no more than 10 years old, with eyes that glowed faintly in the dark, like the stars of her mother's world. She was thin, her wrists chained, but her back was straight and her spirit unbroken. When she looked at him, there was no fear, only cautious hope. Ryan stepped forward slowly. "What's your name?" he asked in a calm voice. Her voice trembled, but she answered, "Lyra." The name struck him like a hammer. The lost heir, the princess's child. "I'm here to take you home," Ryan said. For a moment she only stared at him as if afraid to believe. Then, as his steady gaze held hers, her small lips whispered back, "Home." He broke her chains with the tools he carried, lifted her carefully into his arms, and promised, "No one will hurt you again." Their escape was chaos. Raiders discovered the breach and alarms blared through the stronghold. Ryan fought through wave after wave of attackers, blasters flashing in the dark corridors. He shielded Lyra with his own body, carrying her through fire and smoke. Each time he faltered, her whispered words gave him strength. "Don't stop, please, take me home." At last they reached the docking bay. Ryan seized a small raider vessel, thrust Lyra into the cockpit, and launched into space with enemies close behind. Raiders swarmed in pursuit, their ships faster and heavier. But Ryan's hands moved with the speed of instinct. He wove through asteroid fields, dove into debris clouds, and fired bursts that crippled those who came too near. The chase stretched across the void, a desperate game of survival. Lyra clung to his arm, silent tears in her eyes but trust shining within them. She did not know him, not truly, but she knew he was her only hope. Finally, Ryan engaged the stolen ship's hyperdrive, tearing into the star streams that carried them away from danger, for now. He collapsed back in his seat, every muscle burning, his uniform torn and bloodied. But when he looked at the child beside him, he felt no pain. He only felt the weight of the promise he had made. "Rest, Lyra," he said softly. "I'll take you home." Her small hand grasped his, fragile but strong. She closed her eyes and, for the first time in years, allowed herself to believe. As the stars stretched around them, Ryan knew the hardest part was still ahead. The raiders would not give up their prize so easily. And yet, no matter what came, he would not fail, for he was a human warrior, and he had found the child who would change the fate of 2 worlds. And so part 1 closes with their ship racing across the void, hunted by enemies, guided by hope. The human warrior and the lost heir, bound together on a journey that would shake the galaxy. The stolen vessel trembled as it cut through the emptiness of space. Commander Ryan Hale sat at the controls, his jaw tight, his eyes fixed on the starstreaks of hyperspace. Beside him, Lyra, the lost child of Lethera, leaned against the seat, her eyes heavy but unwilling to close. She had lived too many nights afraid of sleep, too many mornings waking to chains and shadows. But here, in this small cockpit, she felt something she had almost forgotten: safety. Ryan glanced at her, his features softening. He had carried children before, in wars where families had been separated and homes destroyed, but never had he carried a child whose return could shift the destiny of entire civilizations. He did not tell her the weight of it. She was only a girl, and she deserved, at least for a while, to just be a child. The silence of their flight was broken by a sudden alarm. Red lights flashed across the console. Raiders. Somehow, even across the vastness of space, the slavers had tracked them. Ryan cursed under his breath and adjusted the controls. "Strap in, Lyra," he said firmly. The girl obeyed, clutching the straps as the ship jolted out of hyperspace. Before them, a swarm of raider ships emerged from the void, engines burning like hungry eyes. They moved in formation, surrounding the small vessel, cutting off every escape route. Ryan's mind worked quickly. He knew he could not outfight them all in this fragile stolen craft. He needed wit, precision, and the stubborn refusal to surrender that had carried him through countless battles. "Lyra," he said calmly, "I need you to trust me. Whatever happens, stay quiet, stay down, and don't let go of hope." The girl nodded. Ryan's fingers flew across the controls, redirecting power to shields and overloading the thrusters. He spun the vessel into a sudden dive, slipping beneath the formation of raiders. Laser fire streaked through space, explosions shaking the cockpit. Lyra cried out, but Ryan's steady voice anchored her. "Hold on. We're not done yet." He wove through asteroid belts, using the rocks as cover, darting left and right with the skill of a soldier who had danced with death many times before. Raiders followed, colliding with debris, their numbers thinning but not broken. For every ship he evaded, 2 more closed in. Then Ryan saw it, a collapsed wormhole field, unstable and deadly. Most pilots would never dare enter it. But Ryan had no choice. "We're going through," he said. Lyra's small voice trembled. "It's dangerous." He met her eyes briefly. "So is living in chains." "We take the chance." He plunged into the collapsing wormhole path. Gravity twisted, light bent, and the ship groaned as though it would tear apart. Raiders hesitated, some turning back, others following. Inside, Ryan fought to keep the vessel steady. The field ripped ships apart around them, swallowing metal and flame into nothingness. By instinct and iron will, Ryan guided the craft through. At last, with a final surge, they burst into open space. Behind them, only wreckage remained. They had survived. Lyra collapsed against her seat, tears streaming silently down her cheeks. Ryan reached out and took her hand, steady and warm. "You're safe," he said. For the first time, she believed it. Their journey home was long and weary. Ryan patched the ship with makeshift repairs, rationed food, and told Lyra stories of Earth, of oceans that stretched forever, of forests filled with quiet whispers, of cities where lights never died. She listened with wide eyes, her imagination blooming with each word. At night, when she could not sleep, Ryan would hum an old Earth lullaby, soft and low. Slowly, she learned to rest again. Finally, the shining planet of Lithera came into view, its golden skies glowing against the void. Ryan sent a coded signal. At first, disbelief answered him. The council thought it a trick. But as the ship descended into the royal docks, guards surrounded them, their weapons drawn not in hostility but in stunned confusion. Word spread quickly. A child stepped out of the vessel, her small hand in the humans, her star-glow eyes unmistakable. Murmurs filled the air. The air? Could it be? Ryan walked with her through the palace gates. The halls of crystal echoed with every step, and the gathered nobles whispered in awe. At the far end of the chamber, Princess Celera descended the stairs, her regal figure trembling. For years she had carried the silence of grief. Now in the child before her, hope returned like a storm. Lyra looked up, her lips parting, her voice breaking as she whispered, "Mother." The word shattered the years of sorrow. Celera ran forward, falling to her knees, her arms wrapping around her daughter. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she held Lyra tight, her voice trembling with joy. "My child, my heart, you're home." The hall fell silent. Even the proud counselors bowed their heads at the sight. A mother's tears were stronger than any decree, and a daughter's return was more powerful than any crown. Ryan stood back, watching the reunion. He felt no need for praise, no desire for recognition. But Celera looked up through her tears and met his gaze. She rose, still holding Lyra, and walked to him. She took his scarred hands in hers, her voice breaking. "No alien, no council, no world can ever repay what you have done. You returned my soul to me." Ryan nodded simply. "She belongs here." I only kept my promise, but joy was short-lived. Even as celebrations began, alarms blared across the palace. Raider fleets had followed through secret paths, determined to reclaim the child who had been their prize. The sky above Lithera filled with warships. Ryan wasted no time. He armed himself, rallied the guards, and prepared defenses. The alien council panicked, arguing for retreat, but Celera's voice cut through. "We will not hide. We will not lose her again. If they come, we fight." Ryan stepped forward. "Then I'll fight with you." The battle that followed was fierce. Raiders poured into the skies, their black ships blotting out the sun. Ryan led alien warriors in the defense, his tactics sharp, his courage unyielding. He fought on the front lines, blaster in hand, striking down enemy after enemy. Lyra, hidden in the palace chambers, prayed for his safety, her small voice whispering to the stars. Above the crystal towers, Ryan faced the raider commander in single combat. The enemy, towering and armored, mocked the human as weak, but Ryan fought with the strength of every vow he had made, every child he had seen suffer, every moment of loss turned into fire. With a final strike, he brought the commander down. The raiders broke, fleeing into the void. Lithera was safe. When the dust cleared, the people of Lithera gathered in the great hall. Celera held Lyra close, but her gaze fell again on the human warrior. Before the crowd, she declared, "Ryan Hale of Earth is no longer only a guest. He is a guardian of Lithera, a brother of our people, and the savior of our future." The hall erupted in cheers. Lyra ran forward, throwing her arms around Ryan, her small voice filled with warmth. "You are my protector, my second father." Ryan knelt, resting a hand on her shoulder. "And I'll always be here if you need me." Celira's tears shone once more, but now they were tears of joy. She looked at the human warrior and whispered words that echoed through the ages. "Humanity has shown us something greater than strength. It has shown us love and sacrifice." From that day, the legend of the human who returned the lost princess spread across the stars. Songs were sung, stories told, and bonds between Earth and Lithera grew unbreakable. And in the heart of one alien princess and her daughter, Ryan Hale was not just a warrior. He was family.